Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the first episode of the Boston Celtics podcast. I believe Celtics Corner. You will definitely see that on the actual thing. Um, so in today's topic, we're just going to talk about what the Celtics have done recently, and kind of discuss what I'm projecting and what I'm kind of hoping. Um, in the other podcast that you would see, which is the NBA podcast, I actually discuss um, everything that isn't the NBA. I'm going to be having a projection sheet. I will be having my beliefs on what they could do to improve in their team for every single team, and I'll be doing all that for all the other teams. But for this specific podcast, it'll just be about the Boston Celtics. But when I do the projections and so on, I will be putting it possibly on that part of the podcast. I'll see, because we're going to be doing division. We're going to be doing each division, so from Atlantic to Pacific and so on and so forth for that. But in this podcast, like I said, we're going to be discussing about the Celtics. So obviously we signed Kemba Walker and let me see, and what's his name? We re-signed Daniel Tice. Yeah, in his cancer. Yeah. So my thoughts. I'm happy we were able to keep a lot of our core, because obviously the trade rumors about AD and so on. Happy that we got Kemba. Happy that we got Enes Kanter. Just there's a lot that I could definitely discuss. We're gonna go from the position of Kemba Walker. A lot of interesting quotes I've heard from Kemba Walker not going to. There's not a better player or a better fit on this team. Obviously, there's a lot of things you've heard if you watched a lot of the social media and so on. ESPN, Fox News, where I normally watch, which is Undisputed, and so on and so forth. But I've already made this case for myself before even hearing it from other people. But to reiterate it, that you probably did hear already, that Kemba Walker is going to be just a better overall player. Now, from my stance, that I believe you probably already heard, is that Kemba doesn't have the ego. He doesn't have the want to be what Kyrie is. Kyrie wants to be his own man. Even though he signed with KD, he still wants to be the factor and the reason. Now, it took the Celtics for him to realize that he will be 1B behind KD, who is 1A for a superstar. But it took Kyrie a minute to realize that. Now, I don't like that Kyrie is getting all the blame. Kyrie does deserve part of the blame of he's not going to be. He threw players under the bus. He didn't want to hang out with anybody. He was all hoorah hoorah in the first year when he was hurt, but the second year, it's just, I get it. You have players like Terry Rozier, Tatum, Jaylen Brown, who got to a point where they're like, we're good enough to be able to do it ourselves. Obviously, we do need Kyrie's help. We do need Gordon Hayward's help. But to act like everything had to run, it's a little cold in here, had to run through Kyrie was a stance that not everyone truly enjoyed. We ended up so because of that he left. I would have loved for us to. No, we're sticking with the point guard. So with Kemba Walker, he's going to be a great addition to be able to help make us move forward. He's as a great offensive player as Kyrie. He can't cross over, like he doesn't have to. He cannot do some of the things that Kyrie can, but Kemba can give you enough where you still have that Kyrie effect. What I mean by that is that he is the closest thing to Kyrie in the NBA. He's able to get you points. He's able to do a lot of things. The only difference is Kemba would be willing to take that seat to the side, be that star that he was paid for, and do things that star players would do. But he also knows that he has to let everyone else mature and get their piece into it. That's why I believe our main two players are going to be Kemba Walker and Tatum. I think Tatum is going to finally have that ability to do a little bit more that he wanted to, and to be able to be what we saw the first year, which is 18 to 20 points in the playoffs, being a big factor. And I believe Jaylen Brown is the same thing. Jaylen Brown has a great offensive game. The problem was that because of what was happening, a lot of players, if you see, is that even when you watch kids, you watch high school, junior high, kindergartners, all the way to college and so on and so forth. Well, college is a little different because you're having to play both sides of the court. But if you really look at it, if kids are not getting the ball, if kids, and they're all still kids, we're all still kids, no matter how old you are, and it's a specific sport, a specific job. If you're not getting what you feel like you deserve, you will not put in effort. As you saw, Jaylen Brown, he was a lockdown defender the first year, 2 years ago. Last year, he dropped in percentage from he allowed more points when he defended last year. And if you watched him play, he did not give a full effort on and plus the whole team itself was just a horrible defensive team. And you know why? Like I said about the children, if you're able to touch the ball, if you're able to think about yourself when you're a kid and you played ball, if you had that one kid who hogged the ball and you didn't get your touches, if you really think about you, yourself, or your friends, they wouldn't really want to play defense because they're just like, why? Well, we're going to play great defense and it's just going to be thrown to that one guy. That's how it was. Kyrie would get the ball, do his business, and everybody else was like, hey, y'all get on defense and I'll play 1-on-5. When it starts to get to that point, you don't put the full effort of playing defense. And that's what I saw. Now, me comparing kids to them, I'm not saying that they're kids. I'm saying that's how a lot of humans are, where if they're telling you to do something, but you're not getting a favor back about it, you won't be able to put the full effort on both sides of the court. Good example is, why would you work your butt off when you're only getting minimum wage? That's how a lot of people truly feel about that. When they get a pay cut, sometimes they'll put as much effort in, and that's why I'm not saying I agree with the ideology, just that's what I do see. It's kind of the same standard when you see sports players. Right now in the Cowboys, there's some players that won't be in the training camp because they want their new contract. If they're not getting paid, why are they going to go out and play? Same thing with this. If I'm not getting the ball, why am I going to go back and play defense? It's somewhat of a same standard for all humans, in the sense of that's just how a lot of people are. But there are some people who are raised on work their butt off, even if it's for $1 an hour. Other people, which I get, you work your butt off for this career, you finally get to a point and you're not getting paid right, you're not getting the ball, you're not actually putting the offense. So why would you want to play on the other side of the court when you're not getting the ball on one end of the court? So I get it. Me coaching and so on and so forth, I've seen this a lot, and so I get it. And I think with Kemba, that won't be the case. It'll be the case sometimes, at times, because Kemba's Kemba, but he understands that it won't be like Kyrie, where I saw him in the playoffs where he could have passed out the ball a few times after he dribbled like James Harden. He's stuck with 2 7-footers around him and he just flings the ball up. That was the last series against the Sixers, right? Or the Bucks. I'm sorry, the Bucks. Like, I kept seeing that from him too many times, and I know Kemba will not do that. So that's the nice thing. Back to the center position. Besides all the other draft picks we gotten and so on and so forth, we're just going to go with the acquisitions that we got from free agency. Enes Kanter, a great player. I mean, offensively, he could do a lot. The only problem I'm having is defensively, but like in the playoffs, when he played for, I believe, the Trailblazers, you actually saw some defense in him. He has it. It's just the want, and I don't know where that urge is for him not to be playing defense. And I'm hoping Brad Stevens puts that in him, that you have to play defense. You have to have some type of defensive game, because when we go against Giannis when he's driving down the court, and we lost Aaron Baines, so he's going to have, and Robert Williams and all the other, and we got another kid, the other center, Vincent Pierre, the Frenchman. I believe he's French. They're going to have to play big minutes. Robert Williams, he's going to be playing a lot of minutes. He's a pretty good defensive center. He's going to be finally getting his minutes. But in his cancer, he needs to have some type of defensive game on the center position. When we play against Giannis and he's driving in, we're going to need some type of disruption. Obviously, you can't stop Giannis, but you can disrupt him going down the court, and and you want to be able to put that in him. Do I really want to drive this time down the court when you have big players just pounding on him? Not just intentionally fouling him like the Detroit Pistons up in the 80s and 90s, but to the extent of like, do I really want to go down there? When it was Al Horford, there was and Aaron Baines, Giannis at times he questioned himself a little bit. Do I really want to drive? He kept taking threes. Now his threes are getting better, but like the 2 years ago when that was happening, he was missing a lot of shots. Last year he missed quite a few shots, but then he just gained that confidence of just sucking it up and driving. So we're gonna need that, especially, and also when we go against Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, the two-star player, and even Al Horford now, the three main players who all have somewhat of a post game, they're going to be driving in. They're going to be posting up. We're going to need some type of defensive stance in the front court to be able to stop all that what's happening. So that's going to be needed from Enes Kanter and from Robert Williams. And that's the only thing I'm really worried about. And then I think we're also going to pick up Taco, which is going to be awesome. But we're still, that's the one thing I'm truly worried. Offensively, I think we'll be all right. Defensively, in the backcourt, we'll be good. Because Jonathan Gibson, he's getting better. Wanamaker's also getting much better. We have a lot of great young talent. It's just our front court is what I'm definitely worried about. If we kept Al Horford and had what we had, I would have been happy. But there's also a rumor that we might be trying to attempt to pay for Marcus Morris. And if we're able to get him, then I think we're going to make something happen and sign Taco, I hope. But if not, then they're just going to straight up sign Taco. And that's what it seems like. But Danny Ainge is doing what he needs to do. He's built a great team. We have a very good team. It's just Gordon Hayward is going to be the problem the next 2 years money-wise. But I'm hoping he can finally show that he's worth the money next year. He had a year under his belt after the injury. Hopefully he doesn't have another one. He played all right last year, to be honest. People believe he wasn't great, but I thought he was actually all right when he had his opportunities. And obviously Gordon Hayward, he was in an offense where he wasn't the star, but he was in the offense where the ball moved around, and Gordon Hayward was able to get his 20-something points. you can't really give Gordon Hayward a true estimate of how good he actually played last year because of Kyrie. This year, I believe we should definitely criticize what he does this year, because this year I believe he'll have his true opportunity to actually make a name for himself again and say, I'm still the same Gordon Hayward, or I'm at least a 70-80% of Gordon Hayward. And that's what I'm going to be looking for. I definitely believe he can be that. I'm not the biggest fan of Gordon Hayward, but I know that in Utah he was a pretty good player, and I was wanting him, but not for $31 million. But I get it. We were fighting to keep him, or to get him, when Utah was trying to keep him. So I get it, but I'm just hoping that he can be something a little bit. He could be a better version of what he did last year, and I believe this year will be his true last opportunity to show he was worth the money, because I could see Danny Ainge really trading him for anything if it got to a certain point. But Gordon Hayward, I believe he's going to really show that he's worth the money this year. With the offense they're going to be moving around, and everybody's going to be getting their touches this year, so it's going to be nice. I'm sorry, and we also have Daniel Tice from the conversation before. We still have Daniel Tice, so he's going to be a great defensive player also to help out Enes Kanter and Robert Williams. And then if we get Taco, Grant Williams, and what was the other center? Vincent Poirier. They're going to be in question, because how many do we have right now? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 17. And if we get Taco and Marcus Morris, that'll be 19. And so that's when players need to be cut or moved down to the G League and then brought up later on. A player that I like a lot, but I believe needs to get his full opportunity. Oh, is he not on here? Oh, Sim, yes. No. Oh, he's not on here. Oh, I guess he got really not Semi Ojale, the other one. He dabbed a lot. I can't think of his name, but he was a power forward for us last year. He's not on this list, so I guess he got released. Huh. But like Semi Ojale, I like Semi Ojale. He's a great player. We need to be able to keep him. Yeah, see, we got a lot of great players that I truly enjoy watching and like, and so we're gonna just have to see what Boston can do this year, and I'm hoping it's gonna be a very good year. But if I have to do a projection now, before seeing what's going to be happening next in the next few weeks, I think, what was it last year? 49-33. I think we're pushing for about the same. I think we're looking at third, fourth seed, to be honest. Now I'm going to have I'm going to have an order of who I think is actually going to be in the playoffs, and I'm going to be doing projections and all that stuff for each and every single team, which is going to be fun and nice. But yeah, I do appreciate y'all watching. I appreciate y'all listening, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.